So Elon Musk, after offering $44 billion to buy Twitter, now wants out. And I've got news for him. He's screwed. That's the official opinion of a lawyer here. Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So Elon Musk is claiming that he wants out of the Twitter deal for 3 reasons. Number 1, he's saying that Twitter hasn't been honest with him about their operations and that they haven't given him access to all the information he needs to assess the company's real value. Number 2, they're saying, oh my gosh, there are all these bots on Twitter, something Elon Musk admitted in tweets prior to engaging in this transaction. And number 3, Elon Musk is claiming that Twitter's not operating in the ordinary course of business, which is a bit of a problem if it were true, but Twitter had to lay off some people because of the fact that their business is down. And guess what? They talked to Elon Musk before they did it, and he was fine with it. What's more is the agreement between Twitter and Musk has a specific non-disparagement clause, which says explicitly that Elon Musk is not allowed to disparage either Twitter or its executives, either by tweet or otherwise. And guess what? He's done some disparaging, including sending a poop emoji as a tweet. Number 2, they've got something called a specific performance clause in this contract, which means that if Elon Musk decides that he doesn't want to go through with the deal, well, guess what? The court can make him go through with the deal. Number 3, this contract includes a breakup fee of $1 billion that Elon Musk would have to write a check for. That's real money, even in Elon Musk's world. And that's on top of the potential damage that he's caused by making all these public statements in contravention of the non-disparagement clause. Finally, because Elon Musk wanted this deal to go through quickly, he specifically included a clause in the agreement that waived due diligence. Now, what that means is he said, I don't care about the facts out there. I just want to acquire this company as quickly as possible. It's like when you buy a used car as is. You can't later claim, oh my gosh, I didn't know that there might be things wrong with it. So from a legal perspective, I gotta tell you, this is pretty clear. You should know that I teach a business law class and have for a number of years, and one of the things that I really emphasize to my students is how the courts like to enforce contracts. The idea of a contract is central to our legal system, and really our economic system relies upon it. And the idea is that when you enter into a contract, number 1, the court's gonna assume you read it. So saying, oh, I didn't know what was in the contract, that ain't going to fly. And number 2, they're going to bend over backwards to find a way to enforce it. So even if some of the language in the contract might be illegal, the court will just strike that part of the language and enforce the rest of the contract. As I say to my students, one thing that is clear under American law is you have a right to make a bad deal. And claiming later on, oh, I don't like it anymore, isn't going to fly. You are bound by your contract. What's more is Twitter has filed this lawsuit in Delaware. Now you might ask, why Delaware? Well, it turns out that most corporations in America have incorporated in Delaware for the simple reason that Delaware courts are used to dealing with difficult corporate transactions. I mean, I've had to argue some business cases here in the courts in Michigan, and I can tell you, a lot of the time they don't entirely understand corporate law. The judges just aren't used to dealing with it on a daily basis. Not so in Delaware. In Delaware, these judges deal with corporate issues all the time. They understand the ins and outs of corporate law backwards and forwards. The same way the bankruptcy judges understood bankruptcy law because that's what they did day in and day out when I used to practice in front of them. What's more is the judge in this case, Kathleen McCormick, is one of the few judges that has actually ordered another deal to go forward. Just last year, the investment firm Kohlberg and Company tried to back out of a deal, claiming a lot of the same things that Elon Musk is claiming. And guess what? She ordered them to go through with the deal even if they didn't like it. She is not a judge who's going to be intimidated by Elon Musk. And she's already given evidence of that by the fact that Twitter asked for what's called an expedited hearing. As we all know, it can take a long time for litigation to proceed through the courts. But the agreement between Musk and Twitter says that the deal must close by late October. So as a result of that, Twitter said, let's make sure that we can hold a trial prior to that required closing date. Musk, of course, said, no, we don't want to go so quickly. After backing off, he's suddenly saying, let's take our time now. Maybe February is good, right? The judge was not convinced. She said, we're going to hold a trial in October, and it's going to be before this closing date. Bad news for Musk. And what's more is she said some words in that hearing that must have sent shivers down the spine of Musk and his attorneys. She said, and I quote, the longer the merger transaction remains in limbo, the larger a cloud of uncertainty is cast over the company. Now, as I described to my students, the biggest thing that businesses try to avoid is uncertainty, because you can't plan for it. You can't budget for it. If you have a certain expense that you need to cover, well, you just increase the price you're charging to cover those costs, right? But if you don't know what the costs are going to be, then you've got a real problem. Well, Judge McCormick has already stated that she thinks that this uncertainty is a bad deal. And what's more is when she ordered Kohlberg to go forward with its deal last year, she specifically stated, and I quote, that she was chalking up a victory for deal certainty. In other words, certainty is something that Judge McCormick likes and something she cares about. And the fact that Elon Musk has thrown this uncertainty into it is something that Judge McCormick is not going to like at all. Now, Musk might be thinking that he can bully his way into getting a lower price. After all, since he made the offer of the deal, the price of Twitter, as well as a whole host of other technology companies, have dropped dramatically, including Tesla, by the way. So many analysts seem to think that, he's just trying to renegotiate. But guess what? Twitter can't do that. When they accepted this deal, they made it clear that this was the best deal on the table for the shareholders. And the board has a fiduciary duty to the shareholders, which means they need to put the interests of the shareholders before their own interests. That's what fiduciary duty means. And if they allow Elon Musk to pay less than the agreed upon price, essentially, they'll be screwing over the shareholders. Something that will then open up the board members and Twitter to all kinds of litigation from them. So Twitter really has no choice. They have to go forward and they have to force Musk to close the deal at the price that was offered. And if he thinks somehow that he's going to weasel his way out of this, I think he's kidding himself. As we can see, the judge is moving this case forward quickly. And what's more is these courts of chancery, as they're called, take their responsibility to enforce their orders very seriously. How could they do that? Well, for example, Tesla is incorporated in Delaware. And Delaware law specifically allows the courts to seize assets to enforce their orders. Which means that if Musk decides, well, I'm just going to ignore this court order and not go forward with the deal that they ordered me to, they could take Tesla away from him, which is what he's really worried about. Well, if you want to see more about how Elon Musk is just a terrible boss, on top of being a terrible person and a terrible businessman, check out this video over here. It's hard to blame the Twitter employees for being fearful of what will happen when he's in charge. I'll see you then. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.